So what really makes a movie monster and the fight against it truly unforgettable? You know, the kind that sticks with you. Well, it's way more than just cool special effects. There's a deep, deliberate method behind the magic. Let's break it down and go from an ancient myth to a modern method to deconstruct a truly legendary beast. And we start right here with this one raw emotional line. It's not some monstrous roar, it's an accusation. And right away, that tells you we're not just dealing with some mindless beast. We're dealing with a character that was born from conflict, from real consequence. It just hooks you, right? It makes you lean in and ask, wait, what did they do to create this? All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the monster's deep roots in mythology and figure out what it truly represents. Then we'll dive into the practical stuff, the real nitty-gritty of how you build an epic battle, starting from a place you might not expect all the way to the philosophy of the final cut. First up, a monster forged from myth. See, the most compelling creatures, the ones that really stick with us, they aren't just pulled out of thin air. They're dug up from these ancient, powerful stories that have echoed through human history for centuries. And the bedrock for this beast? Well, it goes all the way back to Talos from Greek mythology. He was this incredible, giant automaton made of pure bronze, forged by Hephaestus, the god of fire and craftsmanship. And he had one single epic job: protect the island of Crete. And look at these details. This is where it gets really cool. Talos wasn't just big, he was relentless. He circled the entire island 3 times a day, just casually hurling massive boulders at any ships that got too close. But, and this is the important part, he had a secret. His entire life force, this divine liquid called ichor, it was all held in by a single bronze nail in his ankle. Immense, unstoppable power with one tiny, fatal flaw. You're going to want to remember that part. And that whole idea, that ancient myth, it leads us right into the heart of the conflict here. Inevitability versus the human. This is the point where the monster stops being just a physical threat and becomes something more. It becomes a powerful symbol. This quote from the creator, it's everything. The beast isn't just an obstacle to be smashed, it's a force of nature. It represents an outcome that feels absolutely locked in, totally unstoppable. I mean, think about that. How do you even begin to fight something that isn't just a creature but is, well, inevitable? And this is where that clash really comes to life. On one side, you've got the beast, pure, unthinking power, absolute obedience. It's a walking, talking inevitability. And on the other side, you have the human, who can't match its power but has different weapons, the ability to adapt, to think outside the box, and maybe most importantly, the vulnerability, the fact that they can bleed. That's where the story lives, right in that gap. Okay, so we've got the what down. Now let's get into the how. This brings us to section 3, geography before the fight. And I'm telling you, this right here, this is the secret sauce for making an action sequence that actually matters. Let's be real, we've all seen them, right? These endless, generic, weightless fight scenes that just flood the internet. I mean, anybody can type epic combat into an AI prompt these days and get something that looks flashy. But the real art, the true challenge, is to make that combat actually feel like something, to make it matter. So, that's the big question, isn't it? If it's not just about bigger explosions and fancier moves, how do you actually build a fight that tells a story? A fight that people will remember? And here it is, the answer. And it's probably not what you'd expect. It's this beautifully counterintuitive method. You don't start with the punches. No, you start with the space. First, you map out the environment and understand its logic. Then, you place your characters inside it. And only then, once the stage is perfectly set, do you figure out how they move. And once you have that geography locked in, everything changes. Every movement can suddenly have a purpose, a real result. Which brings us to our next big idea, choreography of consequence. This is the key takeaway right here. Nothing is wasted. A character doesn't just dodge left for no reason. They dodge left because there's a pillar there they can use for cover. A strike isn't just thrown into the air, it's aimed at a specific point, maybe even that one fatal flaw we talked about earlier. It's all cause and effect, and it's all tied back to that map you made at the very beginning. All right, last piece of the puzzle. We've mapped the world, we've choreographed the consequences, but all of that can still fall apart in the edit. This is section 5, precision over spectacle, the philosophy of the cut. And this quote right here, this is the golden rule. It's not about throwing more chaos on screen, more quick cuts, more explosions. That doesn't make a fight better. What matters is that every single frame that makes it to the screen is there for a reason. And that reason, that purpose, is tension. The rule they used to get there, it was simple and it was absolutely ruthless. Did a shot look amazing but kill the pace? Gone. Did it fail to raise the stakes or tell us something new about the struggle? Cut it. It's this intense process of stripping everything away until all you have left are the most powerful, story-driven moments. And when you put it all together, it comes down to this. This is the whole philosophy in a nutshell. Story is greater than spectacle. The spectacle is awesome, don't get me wrong. The giant bronze monster, the action, it's all fantastic, but it has to serve the story of the human who bleeds and thinks and adapts. That's what gives it weight. That's what makes it powerful. So, we're left with the ultimate question, the one at the heart of every great story, really. When you're staring down the impossible, when you're face to face with inevitability itself, how does a hero win? The answer, as we've seen, well, it's not just about being stronger. It's about having a smarter method, understanding consequence, and ultimately, having a story that's worth fighting for.